So I really loved this episode of This Is Us, and I know the season pretty much just started, but for me this was my favorite episode so far this season. And I loved how they tackled a lot of things in this episode. Let's start with the foster child, who really scared me for a little bit with the cigarettes and calling her foster mom a bitch and everything. I was like, okay, this is not good. Like, I didn't feel safe for the young girls in the house. But you know, that's a fine line that they're going to have to walk there. Towards the end of the episode, she seemed to get better, and then she freaked out and like broke the picture frame. So she has like a lot of anger issues, history of violence, and of course she came from a very messed up situation. So I think that's going to be a work in progress, and I feel like she'll be around for a while. I don't know if they'll end up adopting her or she'll come around or what, but I mean, I think that's really truly real life. I think that could definitely happen and is happening all over the world probably. And you know, she didn't grow up like his daughters did, you know, so she didn't have that type of privilege, and she has a lot of resentment, and I think she's really mad that her mom now is not going to be able to come get her. That's obviously what made her freak and break the frame. So I think that's a really interesting element to add into their dynamic, since William is no longer with us, which I hate because I love William so much. But I'm really interested to see how all of that pans out. I also really enjoyed Kevin having to kind of face the facts about his dad being dead. Of course, he knows his dad has been dead. His dad's been dead for years, but he basically hasn't made his peace with it, and that was really hard for him in this episode when Kate was bringing him up to Sylvester Stallone. So I thought that was really interesting to see how he's going to be able to work through his grief. I really loved the Rebecca and Jack scenes about her trying to take him out on a date, and it made me quite nervous because he like turned her down when she wanted to like make out with them or whatever in the car, and I was like, oh my god, that's not a good move, Jack. And then things kind of got resolved like when they got back home, but we realized that that's the dog that we saw in the premiere. We didn't understand why there was a dog there, or the time that we found out that Jack had died, and that's a little stray dog, I guess, that they adopted, which I think is really sweet. It's a very cute dog. So overall, I thought it was just a really strong episode for this series, and not that they all aren't, but this one like really made me sad. I loved the speech that Randall gave DEJA towards the end of the episode before she freaked out. And it was just very heartwarming about how, you know, he had so much hope in the future for her, and that he, you know, turned out great and came from a difficult situation, and she can too. Of course, I would say their situations are different because he always was raised in like a loving, happy home, and we know that's not the case for her, but I definitely agree with him, and I think she can rise above any adversity. So I'm really interested to see what plays out for her and their family. I think that's the most interesting storyline that they have right now, and I'm really excited for that. But let me know what you thought about this week's episode of This Is Us. I thought it was really good. Of course, I think for sure by the end of this season, we will understand all of the details of Jack's death, which I know I'll never be ready for. I think I've said that now for 2 seasons, but I expect that to be kind of like the episode where William died, where it was just like uncontrollable crying, you know. And I know some of you cry through every episode, and I try not to, because it's like I don't want to cry through every episode. I don't want to be sad through every episode, but sometimes you just can't help it. And I know with the Jack episode, I'm not going to be okay. But it's such a good show. It's always so good, and it's a nice escape for me because I don't really watch a lot of shows like this, because a lot of you watch my other shows and you know people are being murdered and everything else, and that's not happening here. So I think it's a good escape. But I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next week with my new This Is Us video. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Kelly TV. I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of the Kelly TV family. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter so you can keep up with all I'm doing.